Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really sucking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York Town.
Hi, everybody. This is Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, host, Hut. And here we are back in New York City. And please like this video. We want to get to a lot of likes today. And, of course, subscribe. If you're coming through for the first time, you have to subscribe, participate in the chat. A lot of stuff going on. Not so much with the Mets, but a lot of trades today, boy. Wow. Big trades today. As you know, the big talk is about where Freddie Freeman is going. A new team has entered the fray in the Freddie Freeman Sweepstakes, and it is the Toronto Blue Jays. Former Major League player Carlos Baerga posted an Instagram post saying that Freddie was going to go to the Blue Jays. He's also the same guy that predicted that Simeon was going to go to the Blue Jays last year. He's got some pretty good information, so we'll keep our eye out for that. But we'll get into it. Some stuff with the Mets today. Jacob Degrom has decided to opt out of his contract after this season. We'll get into Jacob a little bit. Also, Taijuan Walker had to get knee surgery in January, and apparently he's not going to be ready to start the season. So he's a little behind. I would assume probably May 1st. We'll see him. We'll see. This is new to me. He had to get a little, I guess, his knee cleaned out or whatever. But that'll be interesting to see where the Mets go with the rotation. I still think the Mets could use another starter, even though they made that big trade for Chris Bassett, which I don't know, but you boys and girls out there, what a great trade. That's a great trade. The Mets gave up nothing to get him. Mets gave up absolutely nothing. Jen is probably going to be a number 3 starter, but Bass is a number 1 starter. He's not a 3 starter per se. In this Mets rotation, he's a number 3 starter, but he's an ace, And then you give up a guy that's probably going to be a number 3 starter in the big leagues if he gets to the big leagues. So, and the reliever they picked up, they traded. He's not any good. He's bounced around. He's bounced around. But Jacob Degrom, I'll go back to him. He said today he opted out of his contract. He's going to opt out of his contract after this year. Uh, doesn't surprise me. He's basically betting on himself to have a big year this year, and I think he will. A couple of things about Jacob. He was not too happy last year with a lot of stuff that was going on inside the Mets clubhouse, the way they were handling his elbow injury. I don't know what happened with that injury, to be honest with you folks. It seems like there was stuff going on that they didn't really want to talk about. There were rumors that there might have been an issue with the spin rate and that they were kind of like protect. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff that was going on with him, but that doesn't surprise me that he's gonna opt out. And let me get to the chat before I forget. I always get to the chat. Hello, Morphman Evolved. Hello, Stony814. James. S.O. Rock. Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz, he signed with the Nationals yesterday. Signed with the Nationals yesterday. Interestingly enough, on a 1-year deal. The Nationals, what a weird team. They're not, I don't know what the hell's going on with them. But they're making some very strange moves. They got one of the youngest players in the game and one of the oldest players in the game. And here's the big trade that happened just a little while ago. The Mariners traded with the Reds for Jesse Winkler and Junior Suarez. What are the Reds doing? So we all know that the Mariners were looking for another outfielder, which they did. And they got a big outfielder in Winkler. And somebody says, S.O. Rock says, Winkler would have been a perfect fit in Queens. Big lefty stick and primary DH and fourth outfield. Let me tell you, he's a good player. He's a really good player. He's a little bit more than a number fourth outfielder. He's really good. So, he's not really necessarily a fourth outfielder. But very interesting player. Very, very interesting player. You sound like the Riddler. I haven't seen that movie. I have no plans on seeing the Riddler. Maybe he sounds more like me. Probably sounds more like me, if anything. But also, the Mets are basically, from what they said the other day, what Billy Epple said the other day, SO he sits a ton versus lefties. Interesting. But to talk about what Billy Epple said, they weren't really planning on making any more positional moves. In that they're not really thinking about bringing in a big position player, say like a Chris Bryant. That they were kind of done. Interestingly enough, there's all kinds of rumors about the Mets bringing another reliever, a big one, and that guy is Josh Hayder, who I did a video on him yesterday. A couple of news items. Adam Ottavino signed with the Mets yesterday. And I did a video. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. Garbage in, garbage out. He basically replaced Jeurys Familia, who signed with the Phillies on Saturday. Also today, so really, it's just an arm out there. Mets need another lefty in that bullpen. I know they're still talking about Andrew Chaffin. A little news as well. Brad Hand is not going to be with the Mets. Oh, I know. So he's not going to be here with the Mets. He signed with the Phillies. Boy, oh boy. Brad Hand. Boy, if the Mets go up against the Phillies in a big game and Brad Hand's in that game, Mets are going to beat him. Mets always hit Brad Hand. They always beat him. They always hit him. So I'm not too concerned that he went down to the Phillies. They got a very strange bullpen. It's basically the Mets bullpen now, in the middle of that bullpen. What the Mets have had over the last few years is basically they got the middle of that bullpen. That is not a great bullpen still down there. So we'll see. It didn't seem like the Mets are really into getting another player, unless somebody falls into their lap. Now, a guy that could fall into their lap, which would be under a special circumstance, if it were possible, would be Carlos Correa. It seems like Correa seems to be very much looking for a 1-year deal. Let me read you from the WFN site. This is from Ken Rosenthal, because Ken Rosenthal put out this tweet, Munchkin. Uh, let's see. Here we go. There's circumstances that I believe might push him in that direction. Rosenthal said it would be a 1-year deal. First of all, at a huge number, 35-40. I suggested 45, highest 1-year salary of all time. And the reason he would do it because it's March 14th already. The season starts in 3.5 weeks, and I don't see an obvious fit. Now, for Carlos Correa, teams will make things happen and create openings for him. That's possible, and certainly Scott Boras, his agent, has a history of making great deals appear seemingly from out of nowhere. It's just from that what we know now. I'm not sure I see it happening. Now, here's the thing about these big contracts. It is very difficult to put these contracts together over the course of like a week. So a guy like him would want a very large contract. Would it be fair for teams to pick him up and give him a 10-year contract based off the fact that the season starts in less than 4 weeks from now? And there aren't too many teams out there that would want to sign Correa. The Mets would be one of them. They would play him at third. I mean, the Mets would play Correa at third because Correa said that if he played with Lindor, he'd play third. And the Astros, the rumor is that he would sign with the Astros, like a 6-year deal with the Astros, but have an opt-out after the first year. Now I don't know what the hell the Yankees are doing. Yankees made a big trade last night. They traded Gio Cello and Gary Sanchez for kind of Falafel. Is he related Ralph Kiner? And some weird kind of way, and Josh Donaldson. That was, let me tell you, that is a bad trade for the Yankees. Oh my God, I couldn't believe that trade when that trade came down. Now they did get rid of Gary Sanchez. They got something for Gary, but they took $50 million. They took $50 million from the Twins. It's crazy. And some very strange things. The things that the Twins have been doing over the last year or so has been very strange. They traded their best pitcher. They made this trade today, or yesterday. They bring in Gary Sanchez. They traded their catcher the other day. And it's very strange. They were so concerned about this whole thing about competitive balance, but the Reds are basically breaking their team up. They traded Winkler. They traded Suarez. And, of course, the other day they traded Sonny Gray to the Twins. Very, very strange dealings by some of these teams. And obviously the A's are basically selling everybody off. I mean, it started with them trading Bassett to the Mets, and they traded Matt Olson to the Braves. The Braves always seem to know what they're doing. So I'm going to assume that they're going to kill us again with Olson playing first. Also, want to mention this before we go any further, that Pete Alonso had like a really bad car accident yesterday. He was talking about it today down in spring training. His car like flipped over like 3 times. He's lucky to be alive. Boy, oh boy, that would have been terrible news for everybody. That was a terrible situation. But thankfully, he didn't get, terrible. But at least he's unharmed, amazingly enough. I guess. Oh wow! Look at the pictures of the car. Wow. Had a truck. Wow, completely totally flipped over. Crazy. Lucky to be alive. That's a nice car. Wow. Well, that's scary. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, he was looked really bad. I mean, that's so rough. He looked really bad. Very shaken. I guess you would be at that point. Now, please, with 35 people in here, please like this video, and of course, subscribe to the Baseball Hut. So Freddie, there was talk that since this big trade with the Braves. Let me tell you what the Braves trade. I'm not gonna go through the names, but I'll just go through some of the where they rank on the list of the Braves' best players in their farm system. The Braves trade their second, their third, their ninth, and their 14th best prospects, according to Baseball America, to get Matt Allen. I mean, to get Matt Olson. Crazy. It tells you that they don't think that Freddie has much left in him, and I believe that too. From what I saw of last year, Freddie, the Mets were able to get him out during the season, and he did not have a good year. His numbers are good, but it didn't seem like his season was nearly as good as it had been. Um, that's for sure. He didn't really seem like he was the Freddie of old. So at least Freddie's out of here. The Mets got to deal with the Matt Olson, but I'll deal with him as long as it's not Freddie. Freddie killed the Mets time and time and time again. But the team that seems to be on Freddie now seems to be the Blue Jays now. So that's a team that to keep an eye on. The Blue Jays they always spend a lot of money. They got a big team up there. They got a really big team. Let's see. Yes, even his OPS was lower than was just a slightly above average to what Freddie has in his career. I mean, these numbers look good, but if you watch his at bats, even against the Mets, they were very inconsistent. And whenever the Mets were to go and play him, it seemed like he was kind of searching for it. So it seems like his bats aren't nearly as sharp as they were. He's 32 years old, getting up there in age. But for the Mets, I'm glad he's gone. Glad he's gone. He should be out of this division. But all right. Now here we go down. We'll go through some of the things, some of the players the Mets are kind of looking at. We know they're looking at Andrew Chaffin, who pitched for Oakland and the Cubbies last year. He's lefty. There aren't too many lefties now on the market, but he's a guy that the Mets have to get. They have to get this guy. Just to see. To me, I wouldn't mind having him and having Hayder here. Hayder's going to cost a lot. They're going to have to. I don't know. I don't know what they're looking for. I've looked at some of the needs that the Brewers are looking for, and it's really the Mets really don't. It's not a perfect fit with the Mets. That's for sure. It's not really a perfect fit with the Mets. Kyle Schwarber. Let's go through some of the names. A lot of names out there. A lot of names. A lot of big players still out there. All right. Freddie Freeman. I would assume that the Braves are out of it since they made this move for Matt Olson. We'll cross them off. Now we have a new team that's coming to the fray, and that's the Toronto Blue Jays. Keep an eye on the Blue Jays. And, of course, the Dodgers are still out there. And, of course, the Yankees. I don't know what the Yankees are doing. I think they'll probably bring back Anthony Rizzo. That seems to be a pretty obvious thing. Chris Bryant, who the Mets were interested in for the longest time, and I was interested in the Mets getting him for the longest time, but there's no point to it, And I got a different kind of feeling for him, and maybe because it's gone on so long that the pursuit is sort of The Mets can do without him. It's not the be all end all. Keeping him, not keeping him, it doesn't matter at this rate. It doesn't matter. But the Mariners might be out of it now. By the way, since they picked up Winkler, they might be out of that sweepstakes now. That's a possibility now. Then of course there's the Angels. They're always skulking around. The Padres. Oh my God, the Padres today had devastating news. Fernando Tatis Jr. Broke his wrist, so he's going to be out 3 months. He's going to be out 3 months. So what's today? March? He will be back to probably June 1st. JR, rest in peace, Scott Hall. Oh boy. I guess they took him off life support, huh? Ugh. What a great personality. Let's take a look. What a great personality Scott Hall was. They raised him, Ramon. Just take a peek. But also with Chris Bryant, teams that are sort of talking about uh, the the Padres. We'll keep an eye on them. The Rockies seem to be very, very hot for Chris Bryant. The Rockies. They seem to be a team that's popped up all of a sudden. And the Phillies. The Phillies have gone crazy. You know. So we'll see what happens with the Phillies. All right. Now, Carlos Correa, we mentioned. We'll put the Astros back on us because they seem to be on this a little bit. Uh, keep an eye on the Dodgers still in this potential 1 year deal for something in the range of $45 million. An interesting thing about Correa, and Scott Boras, who's his agent. Correa, if he signs a long-term deal, Boras will not get the money. The previous agent will get the money. So that is obvious something that is rather sneak. I'm surprised that even exists. So that's something to keep an eye on where he might go. But the Yankees seem to be out of this race for Correa or any kind of shortstop. So it would probably come down to the Dodgers or the Astros. I'll put the Mets in here back on this just in case. I mean, Cohen would sign him for a 1 year deal. I would not sign him for any long term deal. He's a little shaky, quite frankly. A lot of stuff's always about him than it is about other teams. Then we have Trevor Story. I've been hearing conflicting things with Story. I don't think the Mets are on him. He has a qualifying offer on him. So the Mets would have to give up and I would point out about Correa too. They'd have to give up a draft pick. They'd have to give up a draft pick to pick up Correa. I don't know if the Mets want to do that. JR says, I think we need one more bat. I think so too. They don't seem to be really looking for somebody, but I agree with you. They could use another bat. Let's see here. Yeah, so I've heard with Trevor Story, the Dodgers, the Astros, the Yankees, which I don't think is going to happen now, and the Red Sox. Seems like the Red Sox are really in on him a little bit. And of course, because the DH is now in the net, something really bad happened today. It seems like the players and ownership want to bring back the ghost runner in the extra innings. That's stupid. Don't do that. Don't do that. Nobody likes it. Fans don't like it. Don't do it. It's dumb. I heard that today, that they want to bring it back. Don't bring it back. That's dumb. I would not bring that back under any circumstances. I don't know what you think, but I would not do that. But Castellanos, who's one of these players that got hurt with this whole thing that happened in Miami, because he looked like he was going to Miami. So we crossed the Marlins off of his list. So we got the Rangers, the Mariners, the Phillies, and I would assume the Rockies would be on this too, because they look for another outfielder. So these four teams. I haven't heard too much of a market for Castellanos. That's the one guy I've heard very little on, as opposed to some of these other guys. So it's a very murky kind of situation with him. And here's a tweet from Jeff Passan about Jesse Winkler. Why does Jesse Winkler make all the sense in the world for the Mariners? He has destroyed right-handers the last 2 years, and in American League West that's particularly heavy with right-handed pitching. He looks awfully good in the middle of the Mariners lineup. Huge get as Seattle builds for the future. Builds for the future. Builds for now. Oh boy. Huge trade by the Mariners tonight. They're always trading somebody anyway. And Anthony Rizzo. Where's Anthony Rizzo going to go? Well, Cubs are still out there. The Yankees are still out there. The Braves are out. And the Dodgers are still out there. So it's really down to 3 teams. I would assume he'll go to the Yankees. I don't even know how much he has left. How much does he have left? Couldn't tell you. Kyle Schwarber, who his market is pretty big in terms of where he could go because he's got all these National League teams that would be in on him, and he can play the outfield, and I guess he could play a little bit of first. The Red Sox, I'll go to the Red Sox. The Mets were kind of sort of interested prior to the lockout, when especially after they signed uh, Scherzer, but that doesn't seem to be the case now. The Phillies are in on him. The Rockies, um, and the Yankees, I put them there just for the case. JR says, do you believe the Mets payroll at the moment reflect the current roster? I know the last 2 years we added Max and Lindor. Do you believe the Mets payroll at the moment reflect? I don't. They had the big contract to Jake. That payroll is going to go up because Pete's getting close to free agency. Nimmo is going to be a free agent next year. I don't think he'll be back next year. And about like I think I mentioned, Sterling Marte has an oblique strain, so he's not going to be able to start on time. So I got to keep an eye on that. Seiya Suzuki, the Japanese pitcher, he has a lot of teams on him. He put out I think it's an Instagram post saying that the rumor was that he was going to decide who he was going to go to. He's not decided yet. He has 3 weeks after the lockout was lifted to sign with a team. So the Red Sox are in on him, the Rangers, the Mariners, the Astros, the Cubs, and a few others. I would assume the Rockies would be in on him too. I would also assume that the Padres as well. So the Padres are going to be in on these big players. The Padres also are rumored to be in the market of trading Eric Hosmer and or Will Myers. Will Myers could be an interesting play for any team because he can hit and he can DH him. Hosmer has nothing but, and Hosmer, you look at Hosmer, he's such a weird player. You look at him on Baseball Reference, he's got one of the lowest WARs of players I've ever seen that's an everyday player in today's game. It's shocking. It's shocking how lousy of a wins above replacement. He's barely a replacement player. It's crazy. I'd never seen that before with a player of his so-called caliber. Let me look at him a little bit. Now, please like this video. Haven't already. Eric Hosmer, he has a WAR of 18.1. 188 home runs. 835 RBIs, and he's got a wins above replacement 18.1. He's got 4 Gold Gloves. How can you be that bad? How can you not be better than that? He should have a WAR like in the 30s or 30s at least. Amazing. And he did that, pulled that nonsense back in 2015 against the Mets. I don't know how you have that low of a wins above replacement, but he does. Mega Frankie, who did the Mets get? Let's take a look. Did they make a trade? Well, they made the trade for Chris Bassett on Saturday, and that was a pretty big trade. They bring in these guys as the number 1 starter with the A's, and obviously the Mets are put him in third in the rotation. So he's the Mets' third best starter, just based off of reputation. He might be the Mets' best starter, based on what he did last year. And the A's were a winning team last year at 86 and 76. So that's who they picked up, and they traded JT Ginn and Adam Oller. They also yesterday brought in Adam Ottavino to be in the bullpen. Basically garbage in, garbage out. Basically replaced Jeurys Familia, who signed with the Phillies. Mega Frankie, I saw your headline on here, Mets trade. No, but the trade talk, a lot of still rumors. The big rumor is the Josh Hayder thing, which has been discussed the last couple of days. It seems like the Mets want to really improve the bullpen, and still they want to improve the pitching. They desperately need a lefty in this rotation. Well, thank you. Ding, ding, ding. I appreciate that. And please, of course, Please, of course, like this video. Helps promotion of the video. Thank you, Mega Frankie. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Uh, yes, Sling XXYT. I heard a rumor Freddie's most likely going to the Blue Jays, and Vladdy was talking reps at third base. Verified account. Well, here's the thing that happened with Freddie. Freddie, um, there was a post on Instagram by the former Major League player Carlos Baerga, former Mets second baseman, as well as uh, uh, a Cleveland Indian second baseman. He said that Freddie was going to the Blue Jays. MLB post: is there any Mets news? Yes, Jacob Degrom is not going to be. He's going to opt out of his contract after this season. Also, Starlin Marte has a bit of an oblique issue. Taiwan Walker is probably not going to start the season with the Mets. He had knee surgery in January, so he's a little behind the other guys. So it's going to be. We have a little bit of news, injury news. Mets always have injury news. Oh God, sports! I heard Freeman to the Blue Jays also. Yes, that seems to be the rumor, and we'll see. But there's gonna be a lot of rumors. There's gonna be a lot of stuff talked about. I know all of the YouTubers are all going crazy online a lot. I'm not able to go online all that much because I work a lot and I try to do my best to come in here. From Sling XXY, does that make the Jays a strong contender? Well, they won 90 games last year and they finished in fourth. They've made themselves a really good team. I mean, they're really good. The pitching staff is very strong. The offense is very strong. They're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be tough. But they're in a very difficult division. They're dealing with some really tough teams in that division. All the teams won over 90 games. The Rays were good. The Red Sox were good. The Yankees' record was very good. And the Blue Jays, they're such a great young team. They're so good. They're going to have to really now. This extra team, the postseason might get them into postseason because they missed the postseason. They and the Mariners both missed the postseason last year. So it's going to be a really fun couple of months here, only the next couple of days and weeks, because we're going to have a lot more moves. There's so many players that haven't moved. Oh God, sports. Suzuki deal almost done with San Diego. Will Myers has $1 million buyout. Look out for that. Okay, let's take a look to see what they're saying about Suzuki. Let's see. Also, Robbie Cano was in Mets camp today. He went and did an apology to the players. Apologized for his PED situation. Hey, Robbie, if you do it again, the Mets will be off the hook for $40 million. All right. Here is what the Mariners sent to the Reds in this Jesse Winkler trade. The Reds picked up Jesse Winkler and Eugenio Suarez, and the Mariners sent them Brandon Williamson, Jake Fraley, and the former Met prospect Justin Dunn. Justin Dunn. And that's an interesting name. Obviously, he was a prospect here in the Mets, and the Mets sent him to the Mariners. The Mets sent him to the Mariners for Robbie Cano and Edwin Diaz. It's from Joel Sherman again. Suarez is owed $35 million over the next 3 years, and the Mariners are taking on all of it. Wow. I wonder if he'll get flipped. But then again, they need a third baseman after Seager retired out there. From Sling, do you believe the Mets Chris Bryant to the Mets? Not anymore. No, I don't see that now. I did for a longest time. I don't see that happening now. Sling XXY. I don't see that happening now. I see him either going to the Rockies now. It seems like the Rockies are hot on him. The Padres are hot on him, and uh, and the Phillies. Hello, Big Pop One. What's going on? Long time no see. Any news on the Mets? Well, Jacob Degrom is going to be opting out of his contract. It's another thing from Joel Sherman. Since lockout ended, run on pitching via free agent and trades. Now position player trades. Olson, Donaldson, kind of Falafa, Garver, Winkler, Suarez. Best of the positional player, free agents currently still without teams. Correa, Freeman, Story, Bryant, Castellanos, Schwarber, Conforto. We'll get to Michael in a minute. Anthony Rizzo and Seiya Suzuki. All right. So let's get to Michael for a minute. We're gonna have to add a team onto this since the whole injury to the Padres. So with Michael, he's got the qualifying offer. So any team picking him up would have to send a draft pick Mets direction. That's gonna have a really good draft this season. It's gonna be a fun draft. Hopefully they have the draft the day of the last day before the All Star break, because that was great last year when we had that big live stream. Everybody was here and it was fun to watch, and then it's gonna be very busy that night. But the Phillies are in on Michael. I would cross the Mets out. Seems like the Mets aren't interested. The Rangers, the Mariners, that might be gone now with Winkler. So that we'll cross the Mariners off for this moment. The Yankees, the Rockies will underline them, and the Padres will underline. So the Philly, the four teams, three teams are really that'd be interested in him are the Phillies, the Padres, and the Rockies. And it seems like, according to the chat, that the Rockies have a pretty good chance to get Chris Bryant. Uh, from MLB Post, had the Mets looked in Josh Hayder in a while? Well, they've been talking about him in the last few days. I did a video on him yesterday. I uploaded that yesterday morning. There's not really much of a fit there with the Mets, to be honest with you. In terms of a trading move, because the things that but the Brewers are because the Brewers are a good team. They're not going to want to move all these different these big players and get some young player for them. Big Pump One. Okay. Any news on Conforto? Not really, other than that the Rockies are in on him and now the Padres and the Phillies have been talking to him for a long time. It's weird. The Phillies have made all these little moves. They haven't made any big moves. They made a lot of little moves. Interestingly enough. But we'll see where the Phillies go. They brought in the Met bullpen to pitch for them. So the Phillies, who've had one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball, have gone from one of the worst bullpens to a Mets bullpen. So it's improved. But then again, the Mets bullpen has not been great for the last few years anyway, but it's been better than the Phillies bullpen. So now let's go to some other names that we haven't really talked much about. Colin Mcgee, the Mets have been sort of talking about him, and also the Red Sox are in on this too. He has a big market. I don't even know how many teams are in on him. He's got to sign soon. All these guys have to sign very soon. I'm very surprised that a lot of them haven't gone. But again, they're all veteran players. Matt also went to the Braves, so that's done. Jorge Soler. I've heard the Dodgers with Jorge Soler. Well, no. Why would he? It's the 10-cent story. Did the Mets sign Tom Brady yet today? No, not yet. But the day is still young. Yeah. So the Dodgers seem to be interested in Soler. I guess to be the DH, I suppose. I haven't heard any team with Zach Greinke. I don't know where he's going. I would mention the Mets could use another starter in their rotation. And considering the Mets have this injury now to Taijuan Walker, and he probably won't be ready till May 1st. The Mets should think about bringing in another starter in here. And I don't trust Carrasco for anything. That's for sure. I don't trust him for a second. So, Greinke's still out there. I don't know how he would handle New York. He's a bit of he's a bit of an oddball, that guy. You know, Eddie Rosario, he's still out there. The Mets could use another left-handed bat in that outfield. From Big Pomp 1, you awesome hut. Well, thank you. I do my best here. I can't do like 8-9 hour live stream. That's the one thing I can't do. I don't know what you could talk about for 9 hours. I could barely get an hour in. No, I mean I could go 2-3 hours, but thank you. So Nelson Cruz, he signed. He signed with the Nationals. I know there was talk early on the Mets were interested, but just based off of the fact that he played for Buck in Baltimore. Hold on a second. I gotta set up my computer. I gotta charge my computer real quick because it's starting to lose charge here. All right. Yeah, so Nelson Cruz went to the Nationals. Albert Pujols, he still is out there. He's 110 years old. He's 110 years old. And he hasn't signed with anybody, amazingly enough. HBO 90s references. Conforto would hit 50 home runs as a Philly. Yeah, okay. Well, that's kind of interesting since nobody has really hit, other than Ryan Howard, has hit 50 home runs down in Bank One Park. Even Bryce Harper has not hit 50 home runs down there. So I don't think that's going to happen with Michael Conforto. Michael Conforto will hit 30 if he's lucky, and he'll strike out a lot. He strikes out a lot. There was talk that the Yankees were looking to get in Paul DeJong to be their shortstop, but obviously that fizzled since they picked up kind of Falafa. What a weird name. That is like one of the weirder names I've seen in baseball. I know it's a tiny park. But is that tiny? Give me a break. That's not it. Nobody's hit 50 home runs other than Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard made any ballpark look small. That's for sure. But really, well, Big Pop 1 would love to see Conforto back with the Mets. Should he be the only one? It doesn't seem like anybody else wants him back. You can deal with all those strikeouts and deal with all the sort of bad at bats. I know I don't. I don't want to see that. That's for sure. Some other names. I'm going to go do some other names here I have here. Kikuchi signed with the Mariners, right? Chris Bassett went to the Mets. Carlos Rendon went to the Giants just in the last few days. Brad Hand went to the Phillies. Boy, Mets are going to be beating the hell out of him, boy. Now, please like this video. We got 50 people in the live stream. Hit the like button. It promotes the channel. This is very different than all the other channels you all subscribe to. Let's get the 40 likes for this video. That would be great. So Brad Hand's with the Phillies. Luis Castillo is with the Reds. We'll see where he goes because he might be the next to go. Frankie Montez, who's with the A's. We'll see. He might be the last to go. The next to go with the A's is probably going to be Sean Manaea. He's probably the next guy to go. We'll see where he goes. I'm very surprised that Mets picked up Bassett, to be honest with you. I mean, I know he's a free agent, but he's not left-handed. And I was very surprised they picked up Bassett because he's right-handed, but he is a better pitcher than Sean Manaea. But the Mets could use a lefty in that rotation. Ron C., what's up, Hud? You think Sandy Sloterson, I don't know who Sloterson is waiting till nobody wants. First of all, Sandy is not running this team now. And why is this whole idea of cheap contracts even entering your mind? The Mets have an owner that's willing to spend all kinds of money, and Billy Epler is the general manager now. Sandy is not the general manager. Get that past stuff out of your mind. We have an aggressive general manager, and we have an aggressive manager, and an aggressive owner. So that those days are over with. But if a deal comes in that might be interested, let me tell you something. If Correa is available and he says I'll play 1 year here, but you got to give me 45 million, he'll give it to him. Then Ron, then just have Alderson be the general manager then. If that's how you think this works. Sandy's not the day-to-day operations guy. We haven't seen anything. You're mistaken when it comes to this. Um, Epler is the boss. Sandy's not. Sandy's his boss, but obviously, um, it doesn't seem like money is an issue. But we'll see what happens. Hello, Michael Scott. Yeah, so some of these there's so many teams on. Let me go to Michael. I found more teams at Michael. The Brewers are in on him. I'm wondering if the Braves are still in on him. The Nationals, the Guardians will see. The White Sox, the Rangers, and the Mariners. E. Garcia, comfortable had one had one down year. Give him a break. Here's the thing about Conforto. He did not have a good year in his walk year. Michael does not do well under pressure. Michael he's not a 3 hitter. He can't bat third because he can't handle the pressure. When the Mets had him batting third in 2016, he played terrible. He had to get sent back to the minors. Okay. Those other years, when there was no pressure on him, he did okay, but his at-bats were very inconsistent. And in the last year of his contract with the Mets, he did not have a good year for a guy that was on a contract year. Terrible. From Anthony. Here we go. Will the Mets make a play for either Freeman or Correa, considering what the circumstances are? Freeman, no. It seems like Freddie might be going to the Blue Jays. That's the talk about tonight, that he might be going to the Blue Jays. Correa might be more of an obvious thing just for a 1-year deal. That's the thing about Correa. The Mets would sign Correa for 1 year. I would only sign for 1 year. I wouldn't have him around for more than that. Because his reputation is a little. That's why he's having a real tough time trying to find a place. And he might have outpriced himself. I don't know. But we do know with Steve Cohen, he will give a guy a lot of money for 1 year. We saw they were wanted to do that for that effing weirdo Trevor Bauer. They were going to do that for Bauer last year. And Bauer's 10 times worse than Correa could ever be. Correa's just a complete total deranged SJW. But that's and he's all about him. But the big name, at least with the Mets over the next couple of days, keep an eye on is Josh Hayder. Because the Mets really could use another lefty in the bullpen. And that's a guy the Mets could really focus in on in terms of trades. But like I said, it's a difficult match because of the fact that the Mets are willing to trade major league talent, but major league talent might not be something that would appeal to the Brewers. Elwan Falaho. I love that name. Elwan Falaho. Hey, what's the market on Suzuki? Why haven't the Mets been in the mix? Well, it seems they were in the mix early on in the offseason. There was a lot of talk about them. But I think after they signed Kanya and Marte, that kind of fizzled out. He actually has a big market. I mentioned it earlier. The Red Sox, the Padres, the Rangers, the Mariners, the Astros, the Cubs, and the Rockies. It seems like the Rockies and the Padres have gotten very hot for another bat. If you don't know, Fernando Tatis Jr. had broken his wrist, so he's going to be out for 3 months. So they have a major hole in their lineup. and Suzuki would help. I know that the Padres are very interested in Chris Bryant, so I've been feeling like the Padres have been very quiet. They're probably going to make a really big move, a really big move. I think they're due to do one. They're due to make a big move over the next couple of days, especially with this injury now. Let's see. Let me just check my Twitter account here. Now, please like this video in the meanwhile. And of course, tomorrow we'll be back discussing the Mets and letting you know what's going on with the Mets. I follow this Ball Cap Sports. He's got a great channel, man. I've been watching him a lot lately. He's very entertaining. He's going crazy about this thing with Freddie Freeman. They're talking about tonight is that Freddie is going to be going to the Blue Jays. Trying to see. Nothing new. We'll keep an eye on some stuff. So, from El Guapalajo. Is Suzuki to the Padres official? I haven't heard anything. From Anthony. Is McNeil, Davis, Dom Smith, and Mauricio for Hayder a fair deal? Could they then sign Correa, Bryant, or even Rizzo and have Alonso DH in the case of... you got too much stuff going on here, Anthony. You got too many moving parts here. There's too many moving parts here. I don't think they would put... First of all, I don't think that's it's just not... Like I said, I was going through the Padres... the Brewers and what they need. Those guys don't really fit in with what the Brewers need. I look at the players you have here, and Mauricio would interest a lot of teams, but he's not ready for the majors, and the Brewers are a first place team. That's a very difficult trade to maneuver. You have to bring in somebody that's going to make a big impact to make any kind of trade for Hayder. McNeil, Davis, and Dom Smith. The only guy I like here is McNeil, just based off of his past. I don't like Dom Smith at all. He's an average first baseman. He's not an outfielder. He's a terrible outfielder. I don't like his bat. He's got a slow bat. Davis has a slow bat too. He doesn't have he's not good at hitting the fastball. And McNeil has a lousy attitude. So that's not really a great trade, from the Brewers' end. You're picking up their best reliever. They still have, they have options at closing. They can close Williams. But just in terms of is that a fair? It's just not a good trade. And Rizzo, Mets don't need Rizzo. They just have Pete there, and that's it. That's all they need. And Pete doesn't want a DH right now. The Mets can move players in and out of the DH spot. The Mets are the only team that really doesn't need a DH. Mets are the only team that doesn't need a DH. All the other teams in the National League, they all need a DH. The Mets don't. That's the one thing I could say is the Mets don't need a DH in terms of bringing in anybody. That's why, McNeil does have a bad attitude. McNeil last year, remember, if you're a Met fan, you remember the fight between him and Lindor in the tunnel. It had something to do with the positioning in the infield. And because of that, McNeil basically told him to go F himself on the field. And that's why they had this sort of shoving match in the tunnel. And people kind of, his teammates are tired of his attitude about, screaming after every at-bat, every out. McNeil had a terrible year, to be honest with you. He didn't hit. Even in spring training, he didn't hit. It'll be interesting to see how he hits this year. It'll be interesting to see his attitude this year with a better manager. A lot of the stuff the Mets were going through last year is from a weak manager. The Mets had a weak manager last year, and Luis Rojas. The Mets have a great manager to deal with this stuff. Uh, and they have a guy that's not going to be afraid to sort of, you know, manage these guys because sometimes they said that Louis was a little too nice with the players. He knew a lot of them in the minors, and he was smart. Well, I'm understanding, but like he didn't know about this. He didn't know what was going on with the fight. He didn't know about the stupid horse in the dugout. Uh, so it's just not great. A lot of stuff that's just weird, that happened last year, and you had a manager that just didn't seem to know what the hell was going on. Uh, you're going to learn a lot about these players. Some of these guys, in particular, him and Lindor. I said this last year that Lindor comes across as very immature as a player. He's a guy that has been he's been in the league a few years. He was in a uh, very soft place in terms of pressuring their players, and that in Cleveland. Now he played for a great manager, but he played in a place that um, doesn't really criticize the players at all. So he did not handle things well here, and he came across very immature. And a lot of that, you saw a lot of that immaturity with the thumbs down, with Baez. If you notice, all the bad apples that we know of that didn't have a big contract are all out of here. Baez, Stroman, Villar, Pillar, Aaron Loop, they're all gone. I would mention about Aaron Loop, there was no contract offered. Mets did not offer at all a contract to Aaron Loop. You have to ask yourself why. There was no story saying that Mets offered him a contract and he didn't take it. They didn't offer him a contract. They didn't seem to be all that upset that Aaron Loop was out of here. He had a great year. He had a historically great year. But you have to question a player that after every game he's sitting in front of the reporters having a beer. You can have a beer after a game, but I thought it was just a little bit strange behavior for a player to do that. So I was like very much questioning that, to be honest with you. Yes, there was a horse in the dugout, a stuffed horse. Yeah, Robbie Cano will make a big deal. Will make a big deal with some of these guys because he's a leader. Michael Scott, Pilar had an attitude. Yeah, because he was one of the guys along with Baez and Lindor that were doing the thumbs down. And the Mets did a mutual opt out. So he wanted out of here and they wanted him out of here. Peraza could be up for Yankees mid-year, playing shortstop and stay there for a long time. God Sports says. That's one of their big prospects, right? Him and Volpe. Anthony Volpe. Interestingly enough. Please like the video and please subscribe. Very important that you subscribe and like the video. Hopefully we'll have some videos up tomorrow. If there's some big move that happens, in particular with the Mets, we'll have a video up during the day. A hut from El Juan Palajo. Why didn't the Mets go after Baez and Stroman? Is there info as why not get those deals since they were in-house and they expressed their intention to stay? Well, Baez, his thing with Baez wanted to be a shortstop. That seemed to be a big deal with him. And the Mets had a shortstop. They have a shortstop. He would have played second if he was here, but I think he was very much intent on being a shortstop because of the money aspect. And I just feel that they weren't going to go past a certain number with him. I think they thought that he handled this whole situation with the thumbs down well, but they felt that it should not have happened. He's another guy that's from a place where they don't criticize players. And if you notice where he went to Detroit. They're not that hard on their players, by the way. And Stroman, well, man, it's funny you mentioned Stroman. Stroman is a nut job. Marcus Stroman is a complete tall wacko. That's why he's not back. He was part of that toxic clubhouse the Mets had. Mets didn't even offer him a contract. And he was ticked off that the Mets didn't do that. He's also a guy that for the last 3 years has complained about the Yankees not trading for him. He's the only player I've ever seen that's in free agency that goes after his old team, which is what he did with the Mets. When right before they signed Max Scherzer, he came out on Twitter and people asked him, "What's going on with you and the Mets?" He's like, "Well, he's talking about racism was the reason why he didn't sign with the Mets. You know, they'd rather have John Gray, Kevin Gausman than him." And he basically said it was because of racism, which wasn't true. It was because Stroman's a nut job. You know, and then the Mets picked up Scherzer. He signs with the Cubs. He puts out this press release thanking the Mets fans, and then all of a sudden, a couple weeks ago, he puts out a tweet saying that the Met fans were racist. The Mets themselves ignored him when he complained about it. You come out after the fact. From L1 Palajo, is that a fact? It's a fact. I also would mention about Stroman. The Blue Jays got rid of him because they didn't want him around their young players. They didn't want him around Guerrero. They didn't want him around Biggio and Bichette, Bo Bichette. He didn't want them. They didn't want anyone near him. But Stroman's gone. He'll go to the. I can guarantee you with the Cubs, he'll go 11-13 with the Cubs this year. By next year, the Cubs won't be able to get rid of him fast enough because he will drive them crazy in that clubhouse. They will get rid of him so fast, you won't believe how fast they want to get rid of him. He's that much of he's a cancer. He might be the biggest asshole in baseball. He might be in a lot of ways. He's on the he's not on the level of Trevor Bauer, but boy, he's up there, boy. But he might be the biggest a-hole in baseball. But that's just how I want to say it. From Nick Rickman, did Matt Olson sign with the Braves? No, he got traded to the Braves. What happened was he got traded to the Braves today. They picked up 4 different prospects of the A's. And the A's made Alec Bandits in this trade. That's why they made this trade. And the Braves are going to be tough again. Someone wrote to me earlier today that the Mets, they're going to finish third. They might finish in third. Mets are in a tough division. The Braves did win the World Series. Can't forget that. The Mets are up against the world champion. Now, please like this video, this live stream, as we come to you live from New York City. And we'll be going for a little bit longer. I'll be back again tomorrow. Doing a live stream a little bit later around this time. We'll see. And we're going to have a lot of stuff coming up on Wednesday, a lot of stuff coming up on Thursday. We'll be streaming on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I'll be doing stuff on the Comic Book Hut. And probably on Thursday as well. And as well as doing stuff with this channel as well. So we're going to be very, very, going to be a lot of stuff going on. From Ron C. Braves get Acuna back too. That's right. It's going to be tough. It's a tough. Mets are in a tough division. The Braves always seem to do the stuff that gets them to win. And the Mets are spending a lot of money to get where they need to be. But we'll see. It's very good to see the Mets, putting in the effort to building a good team. They brought in Bassett the other day, Scherzer, Starlin Marte, Kanye, and of course Eduardo Escobar, he's well loved in terms of in the clubhouse. Well, the Mets have a very good, Mets have a very good rotation now, Elwan. But you have to stay healthy, and obviously in the Grom's walk year, I would assume that Jacob will be healthy. If he's healthy, he's going to win a Cy Young. That might basically cement him as a Hall of Famer, but we'll see. And obviously, as Ron C points out in the chat, Mets have to hit. The Mets never hit. The Mets don't win, they're not going to win. Mets don't hit, they don't win. And that's how it's always been. The offense should be a lot less dysfunctional this year. I was reading the other day, I saw a video or read something that in 2020, the Mets had one of the best lineups, but couldn't hit with men on base. It was like that last year, too. But that, the lineup has been a very strange thing because they're terrible with men on base. Hopefully, with Escobar here and with Marte and Kanya, that Kanha, I have to figure out how to pronounce his name, that they will hit much better with men on base. I would assume that Marte will be the leadoff hitter on this team. I think the lineup, nobody's mentioned it, but I think the lineup will probably be Marte, Nimmo, Lindor, Pete, Escobar, some kind of variation of that. You need, and also, I would point out the Mets have a hole behind the plate. Mets don't have a bat behind the plate. They have a hole there, hole defensively and a hole offensively. So that is a major concern. And it's a major concern to me. Is that lineup? And behind the plate, Juan Palajo. Hey, Hut, I blame all that hitting fiasco on the coaching staff, leading that big mess. Now, I'd point out that over the last 2 years, that some of the performers of the Mets have sort of taken a step back. In particular, Jacob Degrom. Jacob Degrom. Now, I would point out that in 2018, 2019, they had a pitching coach as manager. That made a big difference to why, as to why the Mets. I lost my train of thought. We know that Mickey Callaway was not a good manager, but he was a very good pitching coach. And the 2 years that he was here, Jacob Degrom won 2 Cy Young Awards. So in 2020, we didn't have him here as the manager. We had Louis. Jacob took a step back. Jake would have won a third if he had a strong September. But he didn't have a strong September. We'll see how Buck is. But if Jacob is going to be pitching every 5th day and he still has the goods, he's going to win that Cy Young. Oh, God, sports. The Mets are going to have a great offense this year with a lot of balance. The question is the bullpen. Well, the bullpen was okay last year. They could, it was okay. I mean, I don't trust Edwin Diaz, if my life depended on it. He is not really, I don't trust him at all. He just doesn't do it for me. But they need a lefty in that bullpen. Familia leaving doesn't hurt them. They brought in Ottavina, and he's basically the same guy. Seth Lugo has to pitch better. We'll see how he is this year because didn't do well with the change of the spin rate. And we'll see. From Nick Rickman, will the Dodgers sign Freddie Freeman? Was here in the Blue Jays. Here in the Blue Jays the last little bit. Seems like the Blue Jays are very interested in signing him. Very interesting situation now with the Blue Jays sort of popped up out of nowhere. Because we hadn't heard anything with the Blue Jays. But now it seems like the Blue Jays are very interested in making a big splash here. The Braves were never going to give, Freddie a 6th year. And they didn't. They said they weren't, and they didn't. Now Freddie's out of the division, thankfully. And hopefully, the Mets will have to deal with Matt Olson now, who's a very good player. He's a great defensive player, very good offensive player. And you look at his numbers, they're showing him on TV against Freddie Freeman. He had a better year, and he's younger. Now, if people forget, Freddie's 32 years old. He's not getting any younger. Now, how many more good years does he have left? 2 years? 2 years? How much more does he have left? Not a lot. That's for sure. Back to L1. Cano also due for a bounce, but I don't know about Cano. Cano was getting up there. Was he 39 years old? McNeil has a better chance to have a bounce back. Cano as the DH intrigues me because really he showed really in 2019 he really couldn't play the field anymore. And 2020 looked like he could hit again, but who knows how that was due to his steroid use. So who knows? Who knows about Robbie Cano? Don't you know? I couldn't tell you. But so we'll see. We'll see. What moves are going to be made here. There's going to be so much action between now and Friday. It's going to be insane. It's going to be absolutely insane. And it's been crazy today. From Randy Fernandez. Hey, what's up, Hut? Out from Mark. Any crazy news? Not really. A couple of trades. Jesse Winkler and Eugenio Suarez got traded from the Reds to the Mariners. Matt Olson got traded from the A's to the Braves. That's really the big moves today. Other than that, Jacob Degrom said he's gonna opt out of his contract. Pete Alonso was in a bad car accident, no injuries. Taijuan Walker is going to be a little late, probably to start the season. He had knee surgery in January. And Starlin Marte has an oblique injury. Nothing serious. But Nick Rickman, he's putting pressure on me and on the Mets. The Hut, will the Mets sign a big bat today? No. Nope. Today, no. I'd be shocked if they did. If they did, write back to me. I really don't think that's going to happen. Nope. That's not going to happen. I don't see that happening. Because the general manager said no to that yesterday. But you never know. They might swoop in and say, "All right, we'll sign Correa for a year." Correa said that he would play third with the Mets to play with Lindor. I would not have a problem with him playing for a year. That's really going for it. That's really telling everybody I'm going for it. That's for sure. So I don't really see that happening, but and Schwarber's still out there. I know that Max Scherzer wants the Mets to get Schwarber in here. I wouldn't have a problem with that. The Mets could use another lefty bat in the lineup, but if Cano comes back to what he was in the past, they should be okay there. But they could use another bat. Either right or left hand is fine with me. Just go do some of the names. I'll say yes or no for the Mets. Freddie Freeman, no. Chris Bryant, no. Correa, maybe. Trevor Story, no. Castellanos, no. Anthony Rizzo, no. Schwarber, yes. Suzuki, no. Talk is either the Padres or the Rockies. Mike Conforto, no, because it's just moving on from that. Hello, Daily Mets coverage. Hi, how are you? From Randy. Who do the Mets have a better chance of picking up? Chaffin or Hayder? Chaffin. He's got to give him money. We also have Kenley Jansen out there. I think he'll go back to the Dodgers. For at least another year. Hello, Anthony Manzano. Hashtag mob. All new people coming in here, please like the video. And of course, if you're new, you subscribe. And I thank you. Daily Mets coverage. Can you make me mod? I will not do anything dumb. Yeah, okay. Nice try. Nice try. Daily Mets coverage. We've seen this before on this channel. Where I got tricked and somebody was tricking the host into making you mod. Why? So you could block everybody on the channel. That's okay. I pick my mods. My mods aren't here. You will not? Okay. You say so. I don't know who you are. You just sort of showed up here. That's not happening. Sorry. It doesn't work like that. Does not work like that. Sorry. Doesn't work like that. Thank you. I don't know what you're talking about. You don't know who you're dealing with here. I will send you off into the phantom zone. Some of my old mods will tell you that. Some of my mods and my regular subscribers will tell you that. There's no fooling around here. Hey, Nick Rickman, the Mets, the HUD. Well, the Met. You don't have to call me the HUD. Just ask me the question. It's okay. Well, the Mets sign an arm for the bullpen. Yes, from Pat Cole. A's got a pretty good package. That's a good package. They got like 4 big prospects for Olson. They didn't get much for Bassett. Anthony Manzano. The Mets have depth in terms of prospects on the offensive side to where if the Marlins offer them Pablo Lopez, no, nope, nope. I don't think so. I don't think that Mets don't have a lot. I mean, the Mets have really 2 really big prospects and a couple other guys that are really good, but they don't really have much. And they have Alvarez, who's probably a year away, and he's considered the best catcher in the game in the minors. And Brett Beatty is considered the best third baseman in the game. Those guys aren't going anywhere. That's why the Mets aren't bringing in a big third baseman, at least not for multiple years. That's why Chris Bryant kind of is not really in question in terms of what the Mets need to do here, to be honest with you. Um, my attitude about, I think I mentioned this, my attitude about Chris Bryant has changed. I was very much into the Mets getting him for the longest time. But since we're getting closer now to seeing Batty here, there's no reason for the Mets to bring in anybody to take over and play third base. That's why they brought in Escobar for a 2-year deal. Ron C, I'd trade Vientos. Now, Vientos is close to being ready to in the majors. He had a little over 300 at bats last year in the minors, hit 25 home runs. So, that's a 40 home run year. And people compare him to Mike Piazza, to Pete Alonso in terms of his power. And Vientos, he could play third, he could play left field. They've been playing him in left field. They could DH him if they need to. The Mets are in great shape in terms of some of the minor league guys. But in terms of the depth, they're getting very close to really having a terrible farm system. That's why this draft is very important in July or whenever it is this year, that the Mets have a very good farm system that they get from this draft. They have the 11th pick, the 13th pick, and the 14th pick, and another pick that they should be getting for Mike Conforto. So they could have a very good draft this year. I think 6 out of the first 100 picks they'll be getting. So the Mets draft could be very interesting coming up. So, the Mets can't be they have to be very, very smart about how they move some of these players. And they were going through, I saw a list of a bunch of the Mets players, some of the farm players they had in terms of who they moved. There's really nobody that was of any kind of maybe P. Crow Armstrong, but P. Crow Armstrong can't hit. He's not a guy that can hit. He's a great defensive player as a center fielder, they say, but he can't hit. From Anthony Manzano, what team has a depth in terms of prospects on the offensive side of the Marlins trade Pablo Lopez with the depths we have in pitching in our system? I don't know. That doesn't seem. I don't think the Marlins are going to be moving him. I haven't heard anything with him, to be honest with you. I really don't see anything going on with him. I don't see him getting moved at this rate. Let's see if anything news popped up. No, nothing. I really don't see anything happening with with the Marlins, and that in terms of Lopez. Lopez isn't going anywhere right now. Let me take a look at him real quick. See where he is in terms of his free agency. Because always with them, you never know what these guys, what's going on with them. Let's see. Pablo Lopez. He's not a free agent until 2025. He's got 3 more years. He's not going anywhere. Maybe in another year or so, he might be moved. But he's not going anywhere. That's for sure. Just looking at his numbers, he's not that special. He hasn't pitched a full season. Yeah, I don't. That doesn't seem to be that appealing to me. Let me just take a look at the Marlins real quick. 67.95. See, we get fooled by the Marlins because the Marlins always beat up on the Mets all the time, but they still lose 90-something games every year. From Nick Rickman, what is the best player in the Mets? Oh, Pete is. Pete Alonso. I would say Jacob, but he did not play a full season last year. Pete's the best player in the Mets. And he's able to survive these car accidents. Anthony, what are your predictions on where Carlos Correa signs? Because I feel that the Yankees might trade for Matt Chapman. My prediction, maybe the Dodgers or Philly. Well, here's the thing. The Yankees made that trade last night for Josh Donaldson. They're not looking for a third baseman. Okay. I don't think that's happening. Correa is probably gonna. A gun to my head. If you ask me, I think Correa will probably go back to Houston. There's a talk that he was going to sign a 6-year deal with them, but have an opt out after the first year, and go back out on the market. But then again, he did like sell his house. He put his house on the market down there. I don't think that the Yankees are making any big moves like that. If they make a big move for anybody, it'd be Freddie Freeman. But it looks like Freeman's going to the Blue Jays. Michael Urias. Freeman to the Jays. That's a possibility. Story to the Cardinals. I had not seen the Cardinals. That's a new name. Let me put down the Cardinals for Trevor Story. From Anthony, the rumors are going around that the Astros might sign Trevor Story to a 1-year deal. We've heard that. I've heard the Astros too. They, to be honest with you, to save on money, the Astros would be better just signing Trevor Story. He's not a headache. And he's been a very good player, and he'll hit really well there, and he'll have like a big year. He'll have a big. I'm telling you, you sign Trevor Story to a 1-year contract, no matter what team you are, you'll get everything out of him, boy. He's a good player. I really like him. I wish the Mets would sign him and put him at second, but he wants to play shortstop. The problem with him is he's got a bad elbow. Nick Rickman, jock to the Mets. Let's see. From Oh God Sports, I heard Story turned down multiple offers because he wants to play shortstop only. Yeah, well. Let's see. Let's go through a couple things here before we end the live stream. The Reds. The Reds have Luis Castillo. I think Castillo might be going soon too. Where he goes, who knows? But he might be another guy that could be off and running somewhere. That's a guy that can get a lot of players, a lot of prospects. Let me just go through some of these other guys that are here. Joey Votto's not going anywhere. That's for sure. Nick Castellanos is going to pick up a draft pick for him. Tyler Manley, he will be going somewhere because there was all kinds of rumors the other day that the Mets are going to pick him up. He'll probably be next if I think about it. Luis Castillo, I think he has another few more years on his contract, so he might not be going anywhere right away. Yeah, he's got 2 more years on his contract. Manley might be going next. Let me take a look at him. Yeah, he same thing with him. He's got 2 more years, so one or the other might be on the move. Andrew Pagnazzi, what's up, Hut? From Anthony, if the Astros end up signing Trevor Story, honestly, my prediction, like I said, either Philly or the Dodgers, or he might shock everybody and sign off a team like the Marlins, because remember he has family in Puerto Rico, and Miami's only a 2-hour flight away, and I think he would want to stay close as possible. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like the Marlins are spending money now. They're not going to be spending money now. That's why Derek Jeter left. There was talk that also another guy that was on the move, Sean Doolittle, went to the Nationals. I want to mention that. I know there was talk that the Mets were interested in Amir Garrett. I don't know why. He's not any good. He's another one who can't pitch. Let me just see who else here is on this list. Juan Pilajo. I want Castillo to the Mets. I'll send Davis Smith and some cash. Then what do you say? Well, you can say whatever you want. I think the Reds will say, I don't think so. Well, they would want Mauricio. I mean, that's who they'd want. They'd probably want Alvarez. They're all going to ask for Alvarez and Beatty right off the bat. Oh, God, sports. Castillo gets rocked a lot. Yeah, but he plays in a rather small ballpark. So, I would say that. Keep an eye on the over the next few months are the Diamondbacks. Because they have a couple of guys that probably are going to get moved. Merrill Kelly could be moved. We haven't heard much from the Diamondbacks. Yeah, Merrill Kelly's going to get moved. Merrill Kelly is a free. How is he a free agent after 2023? So he's a free agent he's a free agent next year. I don't know how that is. He's a free agent after this year. That's a guy that's going to get moved. You want to know a pitcher that's going to get moved? And everybody's going to be talking about from now until Kingdom Come is Merrill Kelly. He's going to get moved. And keep an eye on Madison Bumgarner between now and the All-Star break. He is a free agent after 2024, but that'll take up a lot of money. From Anthony, what do you think? Who do you think is the team that's going to trade for Brian Reynolds? Because the rumors are it's between the Padres and the Marlins. Who's more realistic? Well, they both have very good farm systems. I would think the Padres, because the Padres are probably going to want to make a big move now since they lost. Fernando Tatis. Oh, God, sports. Look out for Didi coming back to the Yankees. 1-year deal, just a gut feeling. I don't think so. After they have a lot of infielders now. I don't see them doing that now. If they brought in kind of falafel, I don't see that happening now. Oh, really? Oh, Orange and Eddie Rosario. Check out Eddie Rosario's latest Instagram story. There's a couple of tweets going around with Screenshot of it as well. He's taking batting practice with a Mets bucket and orange batting gloves. You know, blue and orange is very popular colors, by the way. They're complementary colors. That doesn't necessarily mean that might be his favorite color, you know. I'll take a look. You know, Rosario's a very good player. I would not have a problem with the Mets bringing him in here because they need another lefty. You know, they need another lefty bat in that outfield. And they wouldn't have to give up a lot of money for him. Let's take a peek. There's nothing here. What are you talking about? Get out of here. I don't see anything here. You're crazy. Oh, Instagram story. All right, let me take a look. Missed it. I don't see anything. Now, please like this video if you haven't already, and of course, subscribe to the Baseball Hut. I don't see anything here. What are you talking about? With Rosario. All right. Here's from Anthony Mazzano. I'm a Marlins fan, and I understand like Heyman and Mash are reliable news reports, but I think that report is a little BS. I feel that Sherman and Jeter agreed to part ways mutually. Well, here's the thing: Jeter wanted to win down there, and if the owner is telling him that he's not going to spend money, they're going to give him money to spend, then why? Then Jeter wants, and Jeter wants to win. He told the fans they want to win. Then he's going to leave. He's going to leave. You know. From Master Sama, so Eddie Rosario to the Mets. I don't see anything that says he's going to the Mets. I'll look up some stuff and I'll look around, but I don't see anything there. And the Mets said they weren't really bringing in any more position players. Let me just take a peek real quick. I saw it. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Well, because you got blue and orange on. That doesn't mean anything. It's just colors. Doesn't mean he's going to do it. It looked like he had black pants on anyway. Now, please like this video. Oh, yeah, I see. That's really far away. Okay, whatever. Whatever. Okay. I wouldn't have a problem with the Mets signing him. He's a good player. And he's been a good player. It's hard to find stuff on here anyway sometimes because so many bad accounts, you got to be careful of. All right, I saw the bucket. I'm not going to kick the bucket, but I saw the bucket. Eli. Okay, I saw it. All right, fine. Yeah. Well, that doesn't mean anything. Then you just say I'm signing with the Mets. Up with that. Well, the general manager said that they were probably done signing players. So that's why I don't necessarily believe that. That's for sure. And I know the bucket has a Mets logo. Theoretically, it says he's signing with the Mets. I don't know about that. All right. All right. So I'll be back again tomorrow. This was a fun live stream. Had a lot of new people in here. And we'll be back again tomorrow. It might go a little bit longer tomorrow, I think. And we're going to talk about, hopefully we'll have some more moves or Maybe the Mets will bring another bullpen arm, which they could use, preferably a lefty. Um, I'm sure that there'll be more players coming out and talking. Maybe we'll hear from Robbie Cannell. Um, but a couple of things. Jacob Degrom's going to opt out of his contract. Taiwan Walker has a knee injury that he had scoped in January. Starlin Marte has a bit of an oblique issue, but doesn't seem to be a major thing. There are all kinds of trades tonight. There were two big trades tonight. The Mariners and the Reds made the Jesse Winkler, Eugenio Suarez trade. The former Met Justin Dunn won in that deal. The bigger trade was the Matt Olson trade, where the Braves picked up Olson to play first, and they traded 4 or 5 of their best prospects. We'll see what happens with Freddie Freeman. The talk is that Freddie was going to go to the Blue Jays now instead of the Dodgers, the Yankees. I don't know what the Yankees are doing. It seems like the Yankees aren't going to do anything of note. We'll see where Correa goes. It seems like Correa seems to be interested in a 1-year deal with some team. Of course, if it were the Mets, I'd sign for 1 year for $45 million or whatever money would take to get it. Other than that, I wouldn't sign anybody, anything like that with him. From Michael Scott Hart, are you a fan of Cano? Where will he be on the team? Well, he was a Yankee, so I'm not a big fan of him just based off of that. He'll be the DH on the third. I don't think he can play second anymore. He'll be the DH on this Mets team. I'm not a big fan of Robbie. To be honest with you, I was not a big fan of the trade. I thought the trade was a terrible idea. It was the former general manager who was his agent that picked him up, and that was a bad trade at the time. And looking back on it, it's still a bad trade. Yeah, he's a very talented guy, very talented player, but I was never a big fan of his with the Yankees. And he ruined his chances to get into the Hall of Fame. If he gets caught again, he's gone forever. So he's got to be extremely careful. Well, and the Mets have $40 million on the payroll, and he's here. I'm not a big fan of his, as you can tell from how I'm talking about him. We'll see where Castellanos goes. We'll see where Kyle Schwarber goes. We'll see where Suzuki goes. We'll see where Michael Conforto goes. That'll be interesting to see where he lands. I would think that with Winkler going to the Mariners, that kind of precludes him from going there. That kind of takes away that. Oh, God, Sports. John Heyman's reporting Kyle Schwarber's getting a lot of interest from the Blue Jays. Yeah, I believe that. He's going to get a lot of interest from a lot of teams, He's going to get interest from a lot of teams, It's from John Heyman. Blue Jays are making a big push for star free agent outfielder DH, former catcher and bad catcher Kyle Schwarber, who's very popular over an outstanding season in a market where his teams suddenly need extra hitters. Many teams have been trying, but Toronto is among the front runners. Okay, and it's 14. It is 15 more jobs in terms of a DH, at least 14 for a DH. Mets don't need a DH. I wouldn't mind Schwarber because he can rake. So obviously the Blue Jays are looking for looking for a big lefty bat in that lineup. So that seems to be what they're really interested in looking for. They'd be better off with Schwarber. They don't have to spend so much money, because it's going to take a lot of money to bring in Freddie Freeman. I probably should put Michael there for the Blue Jays too. Let me just put this down. I think there'll be a couple of big moves here tonight before all said and done. But I have to get out of here. I have to have my dinner. And I want to thank you all for coming by. Of course, it was a great live stream. I want to thank you all. And we're back again tomorrow. Be back again tomorrow. Talking about our favorite team, talking about baseball, and everything else in between. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching this live stream. Please subscribe. If you're watching on replay, leave comments in the comment section. And of course, before we go, please like it. Before we go, let me see how many likes we got in the stream before we end this sucker. We get a few more in here. Got 56. Let's get to 60. That would be kind of cool, or more than kind of cool. Very cool. And that would help the channel out, promotes the live stream and the channel. And I got a lot of subscribers on for this live stream. I want to thank you all for coming by. Thank you for watching. And I'll have a good night. I'll see you later.